In today's video, I want to talk about trimming. It's very simple, but there are some minute details that you should actually know. So first things first, here's an example. Quite literally, here's the word example inside a string. And it has some extra spaces. And as you know, what trimming does is it removes spaces or new line characters that are extra at the end or at the beginning of the string, right? So if I were to print this out on the screen, I have here the string here, and I have a dot just to make sure, just to know how many spaces I've printed. So if I run this, you'll notice that I have 2 spaces before the word and 1 space after. So how can we fix this? How can I have just the word without any spaces and a dot at the end? Well, there's not just one. There are 5 methods that can be used on any string to actually trim them. So let's get over them. First things first is just simple trim. So if I do str.trim here and run this, you'll notice that nothing changed. Whoa, why? Well, that's simple. As you might have actually got used to by now, this guy returns a new string. So we have to either overwrite our previous string or store it elsewhere. So I'm going to just overwrite this. I'm going to just say str equals str.trim. And now if I run this, you'll notice that we actually get no spaces anywhere here. So that's really nice. We've trimmed it. But let's say we want to just trim it at the end here. What do? Well, you can call the trim end method. And just say trim end, and then if I run this, you notice the spaces at the beginning are still there, but we've just trimmed the end of it. If you want to trim the first few spaces here, well, you can use trim start for this, as you can see here. So you just kind of remove the beginning spaces, but the end spaces are still there. And the same goes with if I use \ends here, and if I try to trim at the end, right? So if I trim at the end here, let me actually clear the screen, you'll notice that both the space and the new line is gone. So if I were to not trim it at all, the dot would be on a new line. So that's because of this \n character. And even if you have new line characters at the beginning of the string, they are going to be cut off, as we can see here, right? So we have here a new line, and now it's removed. We don't have it anymore. And if I try to comment this out, you'll notice, well, it's still there, and we also have spaces. So that actually looks pretty nice. It's very centered, but that's not what we want here. And one last thing is, as I said, there are 5 methods, but really 3 are useful. The other 2 are there for backwards compatibility purposes. So beforehand, there existed trim left and trim right, which they're equivalent to trim start and trim end. So I can instead call trim left here, and it would work basically the exact same way. And same thing goes for trim right. Just know that even though we have trim left and trim right, the standard is usually for trim start and trim end, because most of the other methods that have a start and end actually use the words start and end, don't use the words left and right. Like the previous video about the padding that I have made, they are using pad start and pad end, but that didn't have an equivalent previously, right? So this guy kind of has, and it's there, but please don't use it. Please use start and end. And that's about it. Very simple, very straightforward, I think. Just make sure you don't use the deprecated methods, and remember that you can also clean up the new lines with trimming. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye.